Hi everyone, this is Larry with House of Akoti Design. Welcome to the channel today. It's been a while since I've done an embroidery demo on a sewing project. So what I'm working on today is a custom pair of chaps, cowgirl chaps. So what I have here is a cute little cowgirl hat with flowers, and I will be embroidering that on a pocket. So I already have the pocket cut out and sewn here. It's approximately about a 4x4 size pocket, and of course a little bit extra for whatever the seam allowance is going to be. And these are all the colors of the thread that I'll be using. So it looks like the colors are gold, light brown, white, dark teal, and also a darker brown. So this is just in black and white, but when I get over to the machine, you'll be able to see those colors, bright, vivid colors in detail. So I think it's gonna be really cute on those chaps. So what I have is actually some information that I'll need for the design. Because this design is just a tad bit too wide for my pocket, I'm having to decrease the size of it. So I'll do that on the machine to be able to get the dimensions to fit. Sometimes you'll have to read, whoever you buy the embroidery design from. Sometimes it may distort the image depending on what it is. Certain fonts like letters and numbers, sometimes they're skewed. I haven't had much issues with changing the size on this embroidery machine for fonts or, for images. But basically, I have decreased the new size of the design down to 3.29 inches for the height and a width of 3.96 inches. And my pocket piece has a height of 4.5 inches by 4.25 or 4 2/8 in width. So it should fit the dimensions of this pocket just fine. So there's some things you're going to need. I have my sticky stabilizer that I'm using here, and I'm using the Durkee frame, the easy frame that you can, simply slide in, not having to screw those sides down and all of that. I rarely use those anymore, but these are compatible with my Brother PRS-100. And then I'm going to use my 505 spray that I've sprayed onto my sticky stabilizer just to give some extra support and tension for my fabric. Okay, the next thing is to hoop the fabric. Okay, so making it over to the embroidery machine, I have the Durkee frame, and I'm going to slide it in the back underneath these two little black hand screws. And then once I tighten that into place, make sure you can kind of see that. At this point, I'm going to go through and select OK, because I'm okay with the 3.929 inches in height and 3.96 in width for the size of this design to fit within the dimensions of my pocket. So I'm going to hit OK. And at this point, I hit embroidery. Now at this stage, I want to check to make sure that the dimensions of the size of my frame will actually fit this design. Okay, so once I determine that I'm okay with the size of the design, I'm going to go and select the proper thread colors to match the colors, on my image, or you can change it. I'm just going to go with those similar colors. So I've chosen a golden color. I have a light brownish color, the white, the teal. Then of course, after the teal, it repeats the light brown. So I'll repeat this color for number 5, and then the dark brown. Okay, so now it's time to thread up the machine. All right, guys, so starting the threading process, the first thing you want to do is take the first color that you're starting with, and my design calls for this gold color. So I'm going to take my thread and pass it through this little hole at the top of the machine, and that's called step 1. You can look closely, there's a little 1 right at the very top. And sometimes it's a little tricky, just like a sewing machine. Just take your time. Slow and steady wins the race, guys. So once you get it through number 1, this is thread guide number 2. It's going to pass through here. And then you've got a little latch right here on top. You want it to slide underneath that latch in front of thread guide number 2, and you'll kind of hear a click. And then you've got this little turnstile here. You're going to go around that part twice. Another little latch here. You hear that click. And then you're going to go through thread guide right here. And that's step 4. And there's a little arrow at the bottom here that tells you all you do is basically take your thread and pull it up. And make sure you keep a little tension on that thread. So once we go through here, we're going to go through the take-up lever, which is step number 5, and pull that through. And then you've got step 6. There's a little hole right there, right before you get down into the needle area. You're going to push your thread down in that little hole of number 6. All right, and you'll see it coming through the bottom. So as you pull it through the bottom, you want to make sure you're staying in thread guide number 5. Okay, so here, there's just a little needle bar. You want to take your finger and push that behind the needle bar. That's a little tricky sometimes to do. And if you get frustrated, there is a tool that comes with it. Looks like this. And basically you put that little fork and push the thread behind it, and it'll grab it for you. And it pulls it through that needle bar. And once that part is done, you now want to bring down your the drop down lever to be able to thread it. Okay, and this little button right here is that drop down lever. So once that comes down, you want to put a little tension with your finger, forefinger, on the thread and push it around that little hook there. And there's a second hook. You're going to press it around it as well. And I do have a full threading tutorial on the channel. You'll just have to go back through the Brother PRS videos. And once you put it around this little thread guide here, you press it again, and your needle is threaded. But it looks like it missed it because I think I had a little bit too much tension that time. So let's do that again. So we're going to press our needle guide down, or threader. We're going to come around this area of the bar underneath and all around, and I'll let it go this time and let it do its thing. And it's still missing. So let's see what's going on there. I'm going to give it a little bit more tension and pull. Go underneath. Thread bar, tension, and around. So, I don't know why this thing is not wanting to thread. So, let's see, we'll do this the old-fashioned way and push it through with my fingers. So I pull that through and push this out of the way. So I'll have to go back and troubleshoot that. So you can see this little red laser mark right here. That little red laser mark tells me exactly where the design lines up with that little plus mark on the image. So that's going to be the center of where it starts. And once you test it out, if you want to shrink it more, this is the most that this design will shrink. So it's going to be super close, this hat, on the side of the pockets here, a portion of the leaf design, which is fine because it's going to fall somewhere out here with that white or teal image, and probably right within the seam allowance on this side. So it's not ideal, but it's not a great large size pocket. This is the smallest design, and you know, this is what she wanted. So I could have gone larger, but the area that it's placed, it's going to look a little weird. So I think we'll just kind of go with it and see what it looks like. So at this point, you want to hit the lock part to unlock it, the image. And we're going to start, it's saying khaki, but it's actually gold, and none of that really matters because the color is dependent upon the thread that you have here. So I'm going to go ahead and start the design and see what it looks like. little closer detail here of that hat with the first color. Nice, even stitches. All right, so at this stage, it's time to change colors. So if you look at the screen here, it's showing the next color is white. So we're going to go in and change it to the white color. And it's the same situation at the top. Everything is done on this machine through the various thread guides. So I'm gonna go in, it's very simple. You know, it's not like the large industrial commercial machines where you've got the, you know, multi-heads. This is really still considered a single head, but it actually has the functionality of the commercial machines to do different, you know, applications in terms of changing it out without having to rehoop it. You can do hats on this machine. There's a device that you could buy, you know, for that. Do pant legs, sleeves, all of that for this, you know, this freestyle arm. So same thing, I'm gonna go through this thread guide with through number 1 up here. This is the most time consuming part, but I will show you a little trick. Once you pull through here, you basically just grab onto the color that you just finished with, that gold, and you just tie them together. That's kind of the trick with this machine. And that'll save you a few $1,000s if you don't want to go with the large multi-heads. So once you've tied your little knot, you're going to go in and catch your thread, and basically you're just going to have a little tension and keep pulling it through until you see white, and voila, there's the white. All right, so we're going to cut the existing gold piece off and put it in my little thread basket there. And again, something's going on here with this automatic threader. I'm not sure what's going on. It's being a little finicky. I'll try it once more. Come around underneath there and see if it'll catch for me this time. Yeah, it's still being funny. I'm not sure why. It is still being a little funny. So I go through there and around. Yeah, it misses it every time. So instead of wasting time, again, the old-fashioned way, just gonna have to thread it through the needle manually to get this done. Just kind of push it through as you would your regular sewing machine to thread it. Okay, so we've gotten that part done. We're going to hit the unlock feature and we're going to start stitching out the white portion of the design. Alrighty, time for another color change. So the next color, I'll go ahead and do off camera. corner that I was a little worried about, but I think it's going to be okay. It's looking good, guys. Alright, and time for another color change. So if you look at the screen here, the next one that's highlighted is my teal green to stitch out all of the beautiful flower details. So I'm going to do that thread change off camera, and I will be back to stitch that portion. Keep watching, guys. A little bit of making that last flower detail. Alright, so here that chocolate brown is just giving it a little subtle edge detail to the brim of the hat. I think I like it. Nothing too extreme. And again, you can adjust the colors, you know, to your liking. Here, our last color is the light brown, just finishing up the details of the brim. Nice uniform stitches. I think it's beautiful, guys. That's it. That was about 20 minutes, 12,260 stitches with 6 color changes. Loving the details. So at this point, I'm going to remove my pocket piece and remove it from the frame. If you guys are new to the channel, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Of course, it helps small channels like myself to grow. So just hit that like button. Isn't that cute, guys? Okay guys, so I have my little tiny scissors here, and I'm gonna look for those little loose threads here and just clip. And I just have to take my time and pretty much clean up the design by removing those extra thread pieces. And some of them, I think they're called jump stitches. And it just kind of makes your design nice and neat. And these little scissors just make it real easy to get between the threads to snip and to just cut those apart. And once I'm done with cleaning up the design, I'm going to remove it from my sticky stabilizer. And sometimes this is quick, sometimes it's a tedious process depending on your design and how many of these little extra thread pieces or jump stitches that you have remaining. So once that's done, you can see up close what that looks like. Okay, so then I'm going to take my time and just separate it. Just going to push through the bottom and then remove it. And then as I turn it over, you can see most of the sticky stabilizer was made into the design to form the stabilizer, the firmness, right, for the pocket. Okay, now this again is going to be the back pocket of a pair of chaps, the shorts that go with the chaps. You probably get to see that on the channel when I sew those on in a separate video, but I'm going to have a lining on this back piece so you really won't see this portion. I guess it really doesn't matter anyway because this is what's going to be on the outside, but to make it comfortable, you know, or just to have a nice clean finish, I'm just going to do a lining on the back. All right, so this is pretty much the end of my Brother PRS-100 demonstration. Going through the hooping process, you know, the threading process, rethreading process, and showing how I stitch out this beautiful little detailed pocket with a cowgirl hat for a custom pair of chaps. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. Bye.